Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi barakatuhu. Have a look at this background image. What do we see? Our final resting place. This image alone can help us to put things in our lives into perspective. So many of our friends, our acquaintances have reached their final abode. Our time is coming. And it's not that we might die. We are going to die. It is the question of when. So what preparations are we making for when we enter the world of the Barzakh? As per my last video, this is a topic we will be exploring on our virtual meeting up session. If you want to be part of it, please WhatsApp me your email address. The telephone number is 0797 134 3625. I'll take the email address. I'll forward it to Sister Soraya. Sister Soraya will email you with instructions of how to join this webinar. But before that meeting, we want to get ourselves familiar with some background information. I want to talk about Surah Yasin. Now, what do we know about Surah Yasin? We know that it is the 36th surah of the Holy Quran. We know that it's very beneficial to read to someone who is going through the dying process. And I would like to point out that the dying process being the operative word. The hadith that informs us of this is very clear that you do not do this recital to the dead. You read it to the living. It should only be when a person is alive going through their last stages of life. So what's the benefits of this recital? This recitation upon a dying person is for the sake of achieving mercy and blessings of Allah and to cause the easy removal of the soul. Let's gain some background knowledge on the Surah Yasin. According to the scholars that this community of people lived in a town called Antakya in southern Turkey. The ruler of that city was a king by the name of Antiochus ibn Antiochus, and the people were idolaters. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent two messengers to teach them Tawheed, the belief in one God. They refused to listen to the messages. They responded by saying that God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hasn't sent anything down, and accused the messengers of lying. They told them, well, you're only humans like us. And when they refused to listen, Allah sent a third messenger. And yet they did not believe. Then a man came running from the farthest part of town, and he said, "Oh, my people, obey the messengers." Now what's happened to this man? He was tortured and he was killed. And then our Almighty granted him paradise. It was said to him, enter paradise. And the surah went on to tell us his description of paradise. And what happened to that town? Allah destroyed it with a mighty blast. So, when you are reading Surah Yasin to the dying, a believer can hope that his transition into the next life will be a good one. So this talk that we're going to be having is how we can prepare ourselves for the transition of this life into the next. So we too, like the running man, can have a good place in the hereafter. Now, in my next video, I want to talk about what happens at the time of death, as this will also be something that we'll discuss in our virtual meeting.